We will introduce first, out of the blue corner probably, I think, is Jared Cannonier, the Killer Gorilla, the 39-year-old out of Anchorage, Alaska. 16-6 as a pro. Eight of his wins have come by way of finish. 10 of them knockouts, coming off of a split decision victory over Sean Strickland back in December. He will be standing across from Marvin, the Italian Dream Vettori, the 29-year-old out of Italy. He is 19-6 with one draw. 9 victories by way of submission. Add 2 more knockouts to that. He also is coming off of 1 win over Roman Delice back in March of this year. Omar, why don't you kick us off?
My analysis, honestly, is pretty short and sweet. Jared Cannonier, I think, is a decent fighter, but he shits the bed quite a bit. And I think he does it in fights that really matter. He's got a lot of power, but the reality is there's a lot of moments where he doesn't really open up his hands. Marvin Vettori has not really lost against anybody who doesn't matter, right? Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker. I think somewhere, even going further down than that, I don't even think really matters at this point in his career. But fighting somebody against Jared Cannonier, I think he's just a better fighter. I think his striking will be more on point. I don't think his power, the power that he brings, will be a problem. I don't think it'll be as much as Jared Cannonier, but it doesn't mean that the power that he brings isn't going to hurt Jared Cannonier, because it very well will. I think Vettori's movement should be enough to stay away from a lot of the big shots. I'm sure he'll get tagged every now and again, but I don't think anything will land particularly flush. And I think the overall worker of this fight will be Marvin Vettori from bell to bell. So I'm going to go with Marvin Vettori here with a nice, dominant, unanimous decision win over Jared Cannonier, proving that he should be in the top 4 or 5 discussion almost all the time.
Mark.
Okay, we have what is basically a pick'em here. Marvin Vettori is minus 115. Jared Cannonier is minus 105. So pretty much a pick'em. It's a 1-inch height advantage for Vettori. It is a 3.5-inch reach advantage for Cannonier, which is a solid reach advantage here. This is a great matchup. It's one that absolutely feels like we should have seen by now. I'm excited to find out who's the better man between these two. It's kind of always, you talk about them at the same level here. Now we finally get that answer. And for me, I'm going to go with Marvin Vettori as well. I think that the activity of Marvin Vettori is the X factor for me here in terms of winning these rounds. He's way more willing to come forward, to throw shots, to eat something if he has to make sure that he is landing and earning points. I think he'll be moving Cannonier back. I do think Cannonier is the smarter fighter. I think he's the one who can maybe make the reads and make the adjustments on the fly more so than Vettori, who I always feel like is a little bit one note in that regard when it comes to making adjustments in the fight. But Vettori has a fantastic chin. I trust it to hold up. He can even look to wrestle here, I think, in a worst-case scenario. And I've just never been that big of a believer in Jared Cannonier as a top guy. And Sean Strickland almost exposed it. I thought he won that fight. And I think Vettori is the guy who does expose it. So I am going to say it is a clear decision as well. I'm going to say Marvin Vettori 49-46 behind pressure and activity.
Yep.
Personally, I'm not super high on either one of these two guys for some strange reason. There's aspects of both of their games that I like.
I wouldn't say I'm super high on Vettori either. I get that.
I'm gonna pick against my better judgment here. I like the points you guys made about Vettori. In some ways, I do think that Vettori is not the best matchup for Cannonier because Vettori has such a good motor, especially as a middleweight. He has one of the best motors at middleweight, I'd say. That being said,
for sure.
I'm going to go with feeling for this one. And in spite of the fact that Marvin Vettori has never been knocked out or finished at all, for that matter, I'm going to go out on a limb a little bit. I'm going to say Jared Cannonier, with his big power, hands Marvin Vettori his first knockout or TKO loss. And I'm going to say it happens in the second round.
That would be something.
Yeah, that'd be wild. That would be
Would be.
wild. On the marquee for sure with that shit for sure.
Yeah, man. Yep. I mean,
Jesus.
Vettori's a fucking tank,
Yeah, I
dude.
mean, this is
He is.
at this point. I was thinking because Omar was saying like top 5, whatever. At this point, the winner of this fight pretty much gets to call themselves the third best middleweight behind
Sure.
Izzy and Whitaker.
Sure.
I
Especially
mean, with
if
Pereira gone from the division.
right, if he's going up to light heavy. Yep.
Yes, I mean they're sitting. Whoever wins this fight is sitting pretty for sure.